Gentlemen, it's about 6 p.m., and this is a meeting of the Streets and Sidewalks Committee for Troy City Council. We've got a couple of things on our agenda this evening, and the first item we have, we're going to talk about authorizing a bid for the Downtown Safety Streetscape Renovation Project, and Mr. Titterington, are you going to lead that?
I can kick it off, and then if you've got any questions, the city engineer is here. So we are asking for authorization to bid the long-awaited, much-discussed, much-anticipated Downtown Safety Streetscape Renovation Project. We are asking for authorization not to exceed $12 million, to include the $11.3 million engineer's estimate with a 7% roughly contingency. You have a report that gives you some of the background, but I do want to reiterate that we talk about several public forums. Actually, there were 12. There have been, since 2022, 12 committee or council meetings, 2 entirely separate public forums, and then at least one community organization that a presentation was made to. The bidding would be for the alteration of the roundabout, as well as reshaping the quadrant parking, enhancements of the safety features for pedestrians and drivers, revamping the streetscapes, brick pavers, seating, furniture, lighting, bollards, digital kiosk boards in each of the quadrants, replacing some aging utility infrastructure, specifically water and stormwater, including upsizing water main, water service lines from 2-inch to 6-inch, or standardizing at 6-inch. To accommodate fire suppression in the buildings that don't have them, and then redevelopment of Prouty Plaza, which has been talked about as well. We are not asking for emergency legislation.
Gotcha. So just reduce what you said down there in 2 sentences. This is $12 million from approximately 6 feet underground to the surface.
Well, and above the surface, we will have some furniture, some seating, and
right.
tables, etc.
Gotcha.
Yes.
I do not have any particular questions. Either one of you folks have anything? Mr. Schilling?
Go ahead. You're fine.
Ms. Martin?
Go ahead. No, I just had a comment. I just think there's been a lot of chatter I see it on social media, that I think a lot of people don't realize that this is important for the infrastructure downtown, the utilities, and that seems to be put way down on the list, that nobody seems to realize that is really why we started this. And I just wanted to put that out there again, that is really an important reason why we're doing this, because those things need to be taken care of.
In addition to that, this is for redevelopment, because the businesses down there need the additional water pressure for fire sprinklers, because if they redevelop anything, they've got to bring them up to code, and they don't have the water supply to do it. They don't have the electrical supply to do some things, and a couple of business folks that I've spoken to have indicated they do wish to increase their equipment, and they cannot do it with the electrical limitations that they have. And and the big question is, to those folks that are on the social media things that complain about timing, et cetera, there is no good time to do this. That is just a time, and this has been in the works for approximately 4 years now. So anyway, just to dovetail on that. Mr. Schilling, do you have any?
Yes, I had some comments.
Sure.
I think we left our discussion on these pedestrian safety signs, the flashing signs. With the advent of, we received a number of different traffic studies, and I wanted to remind council that, traffic studies are written by traffic engineers for traffic engineers. So in other words, that their primary mission, and many times, is to move traffic. And I know they have all the alphabet under back of their names and this type of thing, but these are the same engineers that wanted us to spend $1 million on our traffic circle to save 20 seconds of time per vehicle going through the square. Many of the traffic studies that we received were old, and of course many of them don't reflect the uniqueness of the city of Troy. They were about bigger cities, or Ohio State University, or Purdue, or whatever, and essentially some bigger cities that have bigger problems. But what they all had in common were two characteristics. In other words, that the criticism of these safety lights were, number one, it slows traffic, and they're a distraction. But that's exactly what we want and need. We want to slow down the traffic coming into the square, coming into our traffic circle, and distract our drivers away from their cell phones, their internet, their text messages, and their 15-inch screens where they play Candy Crush or read a book while they're driving. Troy is not Las Vegas. We don't have any LED lights. We don't have any flashing signs. We don't have people dressed in costumes waving signs to solicit our attention. The criticism maybe of our traffic circle is that we have a tendency to focus on how do we get through the traffic circle, and we overlook the pedestrian crosswalks because there's nothing that really distinguishes them. I think we have one sign, and of course right now we do have flashing lights at each crosswalk. They're sort of hidden down in the flowers, but they're there. But again, the problem with our squares is that you have a tendency to look out to the traffic that's going around a square and saying, okay, where can I fit in? And you don't think about the crosswalks. I think that everybody in this room has had, at one time or another, been almost hit by a vehicle trying to enter the traffic circle. I know I've had several near misses. I think everybody's had at least one. And then we talk about our own traffic statistics. And we look at one of the areas that was discussed in our traffic statistic was on North Market Street by the high school. And in the prior years, there was always 1 to 2 pedestrian-involved accidents per year. Back in the early 2020s, which means we're running over 1 or 2 students a year. We were running over 1 or 2 students a year in those areas. And then when they put in these flashing crosswalk signs, no incidents for like 5 years. So these things work. They really work. And then we talk about rear end collisions. I mean, that was another statistic that our law enforcement in providing these statistics felt was very important. And rear end collisions are caused by stupidity. You're not driving with an assured clear distance. You probably are distracted driving because, again, you've got phones to talk on. You've got you're playing NASCAR, trying to push the car ahead of you to go faster, so you're right on their bumper. And again, we don't know why there was no reason why these rear end collisions occurred. Was it because all of a sudden a pedestrian stepped out into the crosswalk, somebody slammed on the brakes, the guy following behind didn't have time to react? There was no distinction on that, but they talked about rear end collisions. And again, in my estimation, rear end collisions are not caused by flashing traffic lights, they're caused by stupidity of the drivers. And what this discussion boils down to is this. At the end of the day, as a councilman, can you tell the residents of Troy that you have done everything possible to protect them when they visit the downtown, shop in our shops, eat in our restaurants, and walk through the downtown square. We're going to vote on this next week because I'm going to offer an amendment. But if you vote for the flashing lights, you're doing everything possible to protect our residents and the visitors to Troy. I ask you in this next week to ask your residents, ask your people in your ward, find out what they prefer. Very similar to the water feature deal that we went through last year. Don't just review the flawed traffic studies. You won't find what is best for Troy residents, and you won't find what Troy residents want in those studies. So again, check with your people. See what they need, see what they want, what are their feelings on this. And then we'll get together and vote on it next week. That's it.
Thank you. Any other council folks have anything to add?
Susan Westfall, 305 Water Street. I have talked a lot to people, and I would like to see Troy be one of the safest towns in the area. Easy to shop at, easy to find parking, easy to walk around, and I'm in support of the lights to hit so that people feel safe crossing. I think the bump outs will help tremendously, but I think we need to allow for a place to add the flashing lights if these bump outs don't help. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Hi, Madison Hickman, 402 Lincoln Avenue, 3rd Ward, Councilman, I guess. I work at Ruby's downtown, as most of you know, so my thing would just be lighting in general. I do feel like when it's like the weather that we have tonight or when it is dark out, I feel like lighting definitely could be better at the crosswalk, so I would be curious to see kind of what that looks like going forward as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone from the public have any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, what is your pleasure?
I think we need to move forward on it.
Move forward.
I think it's time to take a look at it and see what we're going to do.
Excellent. It is unanimous with the committee to move forward as staff is recommending without emergency. And we have item number 2 this evening for the Streets and Sidewalks Committee to provide a recommendation to council regarding the recommendation of the Troy Planning Commission that council accepts the dedication of a right-of-way along the property at 2800 McCaig Road. This is a .850 acre parcel along State Route 718 and .612 acre parcel along McCaig Road of the current in-lot. Mr. Titterington? Well,
your summary about says it all. It is something that needs council action. This is a school property. This is an application by and with permission of the school, and it would dedicate the right-of-way that you see in the attachment of your packet.
Before the power goes out.
In red, there are 2 sections. There's one section on McCaig and one along State Route 718, and we are not asking for emergency legislation. Gotcha. I do not have any questions on this, either one of you? No? Okay. Anyone else, council, have any comments or questions on this item? Anyone else from the public have any comments or questions on this item? Okay, seeing none, how do you wish to proceed?
Move forward.
Move forward.
Okay, it is unanimous with the committee to move forward as staff is recommending. This also has no emergency. Any other items to come before the Streets and Sidewalks Committee?
No, sir.
All right, then we are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.